Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your CFB Halifax virtual work-in for Wednesday, the 13th of May. My name is David Carr, and I'll be guiding you through a flexibility workout using elements from the Ashtanga series of yoga. In response to COVID-19, PSP is offering virtual fitness to Canadian Armed Forces members by using social media platforms. The virtual fitness classes tailored to Canadian Armed Forces personnel become accessible to all. Participants who are not Canadian Armed Forces members recognize and acknowledge that their age, health status, and physical fitness level are unknown, and it is entirely up to each individual to assess their ability to participate in this class. Since it is preferable to consult your physician before beginning any exercise program, we invite all participants who are not Canadian Armed Forces members to consult the Get Active Questionnaire of the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology and its reference documents, links in the description below. If you experience any pain or difficulty during the exercise presented in this video, it is recommended that you stop and consult a healthcare provider. If CAF members sustain an injury during this video, please remember to fill out a CF98. I encourage you to put on some of your favorite music and to accompany our workout, and we'll get started right away. So, step to the front of your mat. The Ashtanga sequence is usually to be performed daily, usually in the morning before other things. So if you're participating, you've already done a lot of things, you may feel your body respond differently. And I will be teaching off book a lot. This is not in any means a direct version of Ashtanga yoga, kind of more free-flowing. So we want to make sure that we start with postural alignment. So set up your feet so that your big toes touch and your heels are a few inches apart. That way there's room to rotate and make sure that there's stability by lifting your kneecaps up, spiraling your thighs inwards, and then giving a little squeeze to the glutes. That should align everything from your waist down. Lift your belly button in and up so that you can stand tall from your low back all the way up, lifting your chest. Open your palms forwards to roll your shoulder blades back and down, opening the chest. And take a few deep breaths. In through the nose and out through the nose. If you can maintain that breath through the whole practice, awesome. If not, breathe through your mouth. Take rest and water as required. And do your best to maintain this contraction of muscle as we begin to transition between our postures. On your inhale, lift your arms up over your head. And on your exhale, fold down over your hips with soft knees and a long spine. Placing your hands against your shins, stretch your back forwards. And exhale to bend your knees and lower your chest all the way to the ground. Take a breath and lift your chest off the floor. Flexing your shoulder blades together, and then exhale. We're going to modify and come back into a child's pose for this first round. You can let your head come to the floor and your hips to fall back towards your feet. Spread out your fingers. Reach forwards with your arms. Take two more deep breaths here. In through the nose. Out through the nose. In through the nose, reach. Out through the nose, push your hips back. On your next breath in, lift up onto hands and knees. Breathe out and press your hips back. Downward facing dog. Take another breath here. In through the nose. Walk out your heels, stretching your calves and your ankles, and then step, step, step to the top of your mat, bringing your big toes back together and hanging over your legs. Placing your hands against your shins, your knees, or your thighs. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and extend your back forwards. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now pushing through the feet with a long leg. Reach your chest towards your legs for a stretch in the back of the hamstrings. Inhale, reach your hands up with soft knees. And exhale your hands back down to your heart. And next to your sides. Sun Salutation A, Surya Namaskar. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your nose. We'll do that again a little bit faster. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, lead with the heart, fold down with soft knees. Take one breath to extend your chest forwards. And breathe out, lower down to the ground. Inhale, cobra pose. Keep spiraling your inner thighs up. Think about the extension of your body. And exhale. Push over your knees, and we'll do another modification, puppy dog pose. Staying on the knees, hips over the knees. Extend your chest towards the floor. Your head can rest. Take 5 breaths. My instructions probably already took 1 breath, so we'll do another 3 after this one. Keep pressing down through your arms so you can stay active. Remember that contraction of every muscle in your body. And using the postures to lengthen helps to create blood flow to your joints. Rounding through your palms, lift your knees up, breathe in, breathe out, start to walk forwards towards your hands. And then when you get there, halfway lift. Breathe in. Breathe out and reach your long spine towards your legs. Inhale, reach your hands up, softening the feet, push through the heels. Exhale your hands through your heart center. Good. Take 1 breath in at the top. And we'll do 1 more modified sun salutation. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, reach your back down as you fold, giving some slack with the knees. Halfway lift. Breathe in. Reach your head forwards. Your neck is connected to your spine. Exhale, lower all the way to the floor. Inhale to cobra pose. And if it feels good in your body, exhale. Come all the way back to down dog for 5 breaths. Again, opportunity to walk out your heels. Or let your body be still, pressing equally through all 4 limbs. Let your head hang. And remember, if it's better for your body, keep using the modifications child's pose or puppy dog instead of down dog, so that you can keep your breath steady and focus on contracting your muscles in each place. Looking ahead, walk your feet up to your hands, and when you get there, halfway lift. Exhale to fold down, reach down, maybe your fingertips find the floor. Inhale, stand up. Exhale your hands through your heart. We'll do 2 more with fewer breaks. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, plant your hands shoulder width apart. Now if you're having the option here, bend your elbows by your ribs and come sliding down your ribs against your arms until you reach the floor. Halfway up. We're not coming to a full extension of the spine, just flexing the back and then exhaling over the toes, over the knees to your variation of downward facing dog. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. push down, lift your heels, bend your knees, take a long step with each leg up to the top. Halfway lift when you get there. Breathe in. Exhale, breathe out. Fold and reach. Inhale, stand up. And exhale, fold right back down. So we've linked these two salutations. Halfway lift. Exhale, step back, lower down. Chaturanga to the floor. Inhale, cobra. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze everything. Push down through your feet. And exhale to press your way back. Breathe in. Breathe out. Lift your heels, bend your knees. Step to the top of your mat. Lift up halfway. Extend. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand up tall. Clasp your hands. I'm going to take a little step back so that we can see a little bit better. A little dark back here. We're side bending. If you have any sensitivity through your low back, widen your stance to about hip to shoulder width apart. That way you can maintain that alignment, that internal rotation of the thighs. Squeeze your glutes, squeeze your tummy, and reach over. Inhale to come back up. Bend your knees into elbows. And inhale to stretch. Resetting. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and lean the other way. Flexing your obliques. Pull yourself into this side bend. Grounding through that bottom leg, that inside leg. And lift your chin. Maybe looking up to the ceiling. Take one more breath. Inhale back up to neutral. And exhale, fold into the next flow. Taking a little bit more time here. Keep your feet about hip width apart. I like to use 2 fists as a guide for how wide my feet should be. Stick them between your big toes and get rid of any extra space. From here, we're going to activate and do a few rounds of this halfway lift, pressing against the shins. If you can reach the floor or you have an object that can lift the floor to you, then that gives you something else to push against to make this an active posture and to enhance the flexibility through the back of your knee and your hamstrings. So inhale and stretch your back. Exhale, squeeze your shoulder blades together so we're contracting all the muscles on your back. Keep reaching, so almost leaning forwards towards the toes to balance the weight out. There's a bad habit on the feet to lean into the heels, especially when we're folded over. You want to spread the weight out to maintain the pressure down through the arches of the feet. Squeeze your tummy as well. This is a really active posture that often gets treated like just a transition. We'll do one more breath. And now exhale, soften the knees and see if you can use your back and your core activated, contracted to reach and get a little bit closer to your legs or the ground. Good. Soften the knees even more. Plant the hands, shoulder width apart, spread out the fingers. Take your steps back, making your way into a nice high plank. Notice if your shoulders roll in and your elbows point out. Try to turn your elbows back and contract those muscles around your shoulder blades to make it a little bit more stable, creating some torque through the arm bones. Again, stabilizing the joints, so as you push and get taller in your plank, the joints actually create a little bit more space, a little bit more room between your bones and your tendons, ligaments. Take a breath in. Good. Bend your knees, soften back. So we're not going all the way to a full down dog. We're just taking a little break out of that shoulder position, leaning back in. Step your right hand in a little bit and your feet out a little bit so that there's lots of space for a balance. Rotating your heels to the right so that you can balance on the edges of your feet Guide your left hand across your arm, chest, and up to the ceiling, side plank. Lifting your hips high in the air, contracting the obliques. So this is what we practiced by using that side bend, making sure that all the core muscles are supporting and stabilizing your spine. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, and maybe if your balance is good, look up to the ceiling. On your exhale, again, remember your legs are active here. Squeeze your thighs, squeeze your glutes. Take one more breath. On your exhale, guide yourself back down, hands shoulder width apart. Lean into the plank, take a big breath in. And as you breathe out, bend your knees, soften your elbows. Taking a little bit of a pause in between side planks. Inhale, back up to the front of your mat. Step your left hand in a little and rotate your heels to the left. Inhale your right hand up and breathe 5 breaths here. On your next exhale, we're going to rotate back to the ground and lower all the way to the floor. Breathe in. Exhale, around and lower. Okay. Soften your knees. You can bend your knees, sway your feet if there's any tension in your low back. This is a good practice and a good chance to catch your breath. Spread your feet out about hip width apart. And now we're going to build a back bend from your feet up. So make sure your baby toes are on the floor and press down through the tops of your feet. Yeah. So we're using the hamstrings, we're using the quads to activate those muscles and extend the legs back and down into your floor. Lift in and up through your tummy like you're pulling your pelvic bones forwards, and that's where the arch starts to come from, right from the base of your spine, lifting the tummy and then peeling vertebra by vertebra upwards. So you don't need to come up too high, but if you've got the strength in your back and squeezing your shoulder blades together, come up as high as you can without pushing with your hands. You might even take this opportunity to inch your fingertips back. And then squeeze yourself a little bit higher for one more breath. Push down through the ground and lift. Exhale. Lower down to the floor. Relax your arms by your sides. That way your upper back gets a chance to rest, and you can put one ear on the ground. Take a breath on each side. Look the other way. Again, if it helps, sway your feet or tap the ground. Coming back to center. Interlace your fingers if you can reach. If not, just turn your palms to face the ground like we did at the start. Like when we're standing, we're still trying to roll the shoulder blades away from the chest. And this time lift the legs as well. So we're flexing a little bit harder through the whole posterior chain, your back muscles, your hamstrings, everything lifts, especially your belly button. Take one more breath to rise, and then exhale, lower down to the ground. Putting your hands underneath your shoulders, press onto your knees, and inch your knees a little further forwards so that we can make 90 degrees at the hips, 90 degrees at the knees, shoulders over wrists. Adjust as necessary. From here, we're going to, again, focus on that arching of the back as we lift up into a cat and cow flow. Don't worry about cranking your neck all of the way up. Just taking a couple of breaths, squeezing the shoulder blades together, squeezing the tailbone up in the air, contracting the back muscles nice and short, and then reverse it. Let your head drop towards the floor as you pick up your back, spreading out your shoulder blades, push into the ground, push with your hands, push with your feet, push with your knees,
and lift with your belly button. This is a nice strong core exercise. Take one more breath. Flex it, and then inhale to release. Gentle arch, gentle round. 2 more times, a little more arch. Exhale to round, and a little more. Inhale, arching up. Exhale, rounding back. Good. Inhale to neutral. Curl your toes under. Push yourself back up to downward facing dog. Walk it out. Take 5 breaths. Activate the arms. Let your neck relax so your head can hang between your arms. And pull your arms towards the ground. Maybe a little bit shaky in the legs. Take 3 more breaths. Inhale, lift your tailbone a little higher. Exhale, push your heels down a little lower. Same thing. Inhale, tailbone up. Exhale, heels down. Last one. Lift your heels up, bend your knees, look ahead, soften your shoulders, and step to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, breathe in. Exhale, breathe out. Inhale, stand all the way up. Bring your hands to your heart, glide on your shoulder blades around your ribs and down to your sides. Take a breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Inhale, hands come up. Flow with a little less core. Exhale, keep the legs active as you fold. Keep your back long as you reach. Inhale, halfway up. Remember that sensation and look for it each time. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step back to high plank. Take a breath in through your nose. And we're going to practice. Push your heels back. Lift your heels forward. So we're coming higher up on the toes. Push your heels back. Good. And then lift your heels forward, so high up on the toes. One more time to practice. Roll your elbows back towards your ribs. Look ahead. Exhale and lower slowly to about halfway down. Inhale, come back up. Soften the knees. Give your hips a shake. Left and right. Chaturanga Dandasana. I could probably do 45-minute class on this one exercise alone, just with the alignment cues and everything else. So let's practice 2 more times, and then it's up to you whether you want to flow all the way down to the ground, or if you'd like to practice upward facing dog and chaturanga together. Lifting up the knees. Actually, let's try one with a little bit less weight so we can focus on the alignment. Just like cobra, with your feet about hip width apart and your knees down, we're activating through the feet, tops of the feet, toes. Lean in, squeeze your tummy so that we're straight from the shoulder to the knee. Roll your elbows back. Looking ahead, leaning ahead, trying to keep your chest the lead of this movement. Exhale as you bend your elbows. And try not to let your shoulders go any lower than your elbows. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, squeeze your tummy and squeeze your bum. And press back up. A little bit of a chance to relax. Now you may be feeling like this is a lot of intensity on the wrists. That's because it is. Sit back. We're going to do a little bit of a wrist exercise, rolling in circles. And even that was a little bit fast. Slow it down so that we're flexing all the muscles of the wrists. You go 3 times in each direction to flex the wrists. Good. Hold your arms out shoulder height as if we were going to chaturanga. And again, warming up and strengthening the wrists. Spread out your fingers as best you can. Wider, a little bit wider. Clench your fists as tight as you can. Good. Spread out and clench. Spread out and clench. Spread out and clench. Spread out and clench as fast as you can. And it doesn't take long until that's all worn out. Loosey-goosey the wrists. Put your fingertips towards you. Your wrists, the backs of your hands on the ground. Lean back to stretch. Good. Lean forwards and release. Palms on the ground, fingertips out. So we're stretching the other side of the wrists.
Lean back, you might not feel too much, that's good. Lean forwards, try and keep your pinky fingers on the ground. Good. And then we'll do my favorite one, claws and thriller. About 3 times on each side. Good. Setting up the plank again. Thinking about your alignment, shoulder, hips, knees, maybe the feet if you're lifting your knees off the floor. If you want to keep your knees down every time because it gives you a lot more time to breathe and descend slowly into chaturanga, do that way. You'll build lots of strength. But setting up, hands shoulder width apart, hips in line with the knees, feet are forwards, heels are forwards. Your whole body is going to shift forwards. Soften the elbows and rotate your shoulders in, looking ahead. Take a big breath in. Exhale, bending down, transiting forwards, and lower all the way down. So the thighs touch, hips, stomach, and then chest. So you have the option to take your time into cobra. And you can see a nice 90-degree angle on my elbow here. That's where you want to be for chaturanga. It's where you want to ideally be for cobra pose. That's a pretty long cobra pose. We'll end it there, over the knees. And let's walk back into tabletop. 90 degrees at the hip, 90 degrees at the knee. So that we can start with a gentle rotation. The spine generally rotates about 45 degrees. We're not trying to turn all the way up and open the chest to the side. We're just getting a little bit of rotation. Notice if the hips are rotating, squeeze your tummy, squeeze your glutes to try to maintain that ground point, that foundation for the twist. I'm going to use my left hand behind my ear. And like I said, 45 degrees, that's probably as high as you need to go, or else things are going to start getting wonky in the hips. Keep the hips and rotate your elbow to the opposite wrist. Inhale. And get that angle. Twist from the upper back, squeeze your shoulder blades together. We'll do 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale to neutral, flatten your back. Left hand to the ground, 3 times on the right side. Retain your breath, so keep your breath in, don't breathe it out yet, and try to see if you can sustain that twist, and then breathe out when you can't hold it in any longer. 1 more time. Neutral, hands parallel, toes curl under, your choice of down dog modification. Good. Lifting the right foot to put a little bit more pressure on that left ankle to stretch. You can just tuck your toes behind the left calf and press. So there's more weight in the arms now, evening out the weight in your arms. And use your tummy to try to lift your tailbone a little bit higher. As the tailbone lifts, you'll feel that stretch more and more down the back of your leg. 1 more breath on this side. Good. Switch sides. Press through the arms, lift through the tummy. One more time. Good. Nice even breaths, nice even steps. Walk up slowly, lots of steps so you can feel the difference now that the calves are a little stretched out. And start again with your feet a little bit wider. And maintain the alignment so the big toes are still slightly inside the heels. Walk your hands to your chosen height for a halfway lift. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and take a long breath. As you spread the weight out in your feet and reach your head forwards, you won't tip over. Exhale, soften, softly fold down. This time, if your hands do reach the ground, then bend your elbows and cradle your forearms.
If your hands don't reach the ground, that's great. Ragdoll your back. Let yourself just hang out here. Shake your head, yes. Nod your head, no. And then sway your whole torso, left and right, 3 to 5 times. Gradually making your way back to center. Slowly, vertebra by vertebra, roll your back up so that there's lots of space, and as each vertebra stacks, you're adding tension through your trunk to make space between the vertebrae. Stand up nice and tall. Breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. Good. So I wanted a wider base as we sit our way back into chair pose. Imagine a chair behind you and lift your arms up. I like to keep my hands shoulder height rather than all the way up. All the way up is fine if you've got lots of mobility in your shoulder, but otherwise, right in front of you, palms facing down, lets you focus on keeping your shoulder blades together, which keeps the tension in the chain of your back. Pull through the knees and hamstrings, keeping that even flex from the inner thighs and glutes, and squeeze your tummy in and up. As you sit lower and lower, this is another time where it's important that you keep balanced weight through your feet. If all the weight comes in your heels and you wiggle your toes, you might fall on your bum. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Take one more breath. And exhale to fold over the legs. Halfway lift. Breathe in. Step back to high plank. Breathe out. Remember your chaturanga. Remember your option is always to go to the ground and flex your back for cobra. Shifting forwards, we're going to try an up dog if you're feeling up to it. Elbows back, shoulder blades squeeze. Take a breath in. Exhale, lower forwards and down, keeping the shoulder blades together in chaturanga. Flip over the toes and inhale. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, opening the chest and flexing your back to upward facing dog. Bend your knees. Flex over your toes, downward facing dog. Walk it out for one breath. And then take a short step halfway up your mat with your left foot. Rotate your right heel to the ground and spread out all 10 toes. Walk your hands up the thigh and onto the hips. Good. On the hips is good because you can tell if you've got kind of your low back flexing too much. We're going to try to keep the tailbone down, the back knee straight, the front knee can bend over the ankle to help you feel more stretch in the back leg. Let's try that. Inhale, straighten the front knee, take the pressure off. Exhale, lunge into it, pushing down through the right heel, feeling that stretch all the way in the calf, the ankle, the back of the knee, the hamstring. One more time. And then inhale your hands, glide up. Widen your hands to let your shoulder blades come further down your back. Spiral your inner thighs towards one another, supporting your hips. One more breath. And then exhale, reaching forwards and down. Plant the hands. Step your feet back together. High plank. Exhale, lower down, chaturanga or to the floor. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale to downward facing dog. Good, one breath. Right leg this time sweeps up, steps halfway forwards, left heel rolls down to the ground behind the right foot. Inhale, climb up to your hips. Inhale, straighten the knee, push down to the left foot. Exhale, bend the right knee. The hands on the hips also helps you from rotating out. You shouldn't be turning to the long edge of your mat. Rotate to the front, the short edge of your mat. One more time, bend into the lunge. Activate down through the earth. Sweep your hands, inhale up.
As long as the shoulder blades stay down, you can start to inch the hands closer and closer together. Squeeze your tummy to maintain stability in your low back. As your hands do get to come together, push them together. Exhale, reaching down. On the same exhale, step back, bend your elbows, shift in and forwards, and inhale through the postures. Up dog, down dog, option for child's pose. Again, 5 breaths here. Remembering to keep pressure down through all 4 limbs. We're not getting slack in any of the joints here. Even if you're in child's pose, you can press down and pull your chest towards the floor. Making your way back up onto your feet. Looking ahead, lift your heels, bend your knees. Big steps to the front of your mat. Hopefully the hamstrings have had enough time to flex, to stretch, to be prepared for that. Halfway lift, breathe in. And as you breathe out, drop your bum, pull yourself back, inhale your hands up to chair pose. Shoulder blades together. Take a breath, squeeze your tummy in. And on the exhale, sit a little bit lower. Inhale, stand back up. Exhale your hands back to your heart and leave your hands here at your heart. We're going to talk a little bit about the shoulder girdle and the hands together position. So the hands together keeps that energy flowing because you can press your hands together. When they're in the air, you can imagine pressing, but there's no resistance. Hands together helps you press and create resistance for the arms and the chest. And it also gives you positioning to roll your shoulders from their normal resting position back and down so that the whole arm muscle group is stabilized by the shoulder, and you can use that push between your palms to create some tension. Use that tension to stretch different body parts. We're going to sit back in the chair and come to a twist. So the right elbow is going to try to find the outside of the left knee. Now, if you're not as bendy, if the legs are a little sore from all the work-ins, then it might tip you, and you don't want to have your head below your heart, like a teapot. We're going to try to keep the head above the heart. And if that means extending the right arm, perfect. That left hand can push down into the small of your back to make sure you're twisting like we did on the floor from the upper back for that 45 degrees. If you sit a little bit lower, the elbow can come together. And again, thinking about palms pushing into one another, shoulders stabilizing the rib cage, and the hands helping to press into this twist. That's great. You were in the twist the whole time. It's pretty long. We're going to stand up and reset. I'm going to turn a little bit so we can look at the other side. From here, again, inhale, hands come up. Exhale, hands find their way to your heart, pressing together, shoulder blades together, sit back. This time, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. And don't twist up just yet. Begin pressing with your hands and see if this happens. One knee juts in front of the other. Make sure that the knees and the hips stay aligned so that the twist is happening in the safest part possible, the rigid rib cage upper back area. Only looking for about a 45-degree maximum twist. If you're at 30 degrees, awesome. That's tons. Breathe in, push your hands together, look up. As you breathe out, you can add some twisting. One more, sit a little lower. Inhale, hands come up, we're going to turn back around. And exhale, fold all the way over the legs. Going through a flow to realign, plant your hands, step back, lower chaturanga or the ground, inhale to cobra or up dog, and exhale back to down dog. Good, right foot steps forwards, and try to step it a little further forwards, maybe all the way up between your hands. Okay. Left heel rolls down. Now that's a lot harder to keep the right knee over the ankle and the hips facing the short edge of the mat. So adjust appropriately and try to inhale your hands right up to warrior one.
From warrior one, we're going to open the stance so the arms come down, shoulder height, and the left foot turns to face the outside, the long edge of your mat. Warrior two. Now the whole torso and hip girdle faces the long edge of your mat, but we're trying not to let this right knee cave in. Squeeze your glutes, pull yourself into the lunge like we practiced. Inhale out, straightening the front knee. Exhale, lunge a little bit lower. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, lunge a little bit lower. Good, and hold it here, 3 breaths. 1, exhale, lower, pull down. 2, exhale, lower, turn the knee out. Last one. Good, nice long stretch through your left inner thigh. Bring your hands to your hips, heel toe to shorten the stance. And we'll step to the top of the mat. Roll your shoulders. We'll do it again. Hands come up. Exhale, folding over. Halfway lift. Step back, chaturanga, or all the way to the floor. Inhale to up dog. Exhale to down dog. This time the right leg steps forwards. Oh, sorry, left leg. Get my lefts and rights mixed up. Warrior one with the long stance. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, open out, warrior two. 3 times. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, lunge a little lower. Keep your baby toes on the floor. Spread the weight out through your feet. Hold it here. 2 more. Squeeze your tummy so your tailbone points to the floor. Sink a little bit lower. Take 1 more breath. And this time, exhale, cartwheel. Your hands over to frame your foot. Take a big step back and lower down to the ground. Inhale to cobra. Exhale over the knees. Knees wide, child's pose. Give yourself a little break. Rolling the shoulders, shaking out the neck. Take 1 more breath in child's pose. Up, over the hands. Exhale back to down dog. Take 2 breaths. Look to your hands, lift your heels, soften your elbows so you can push with your arms and bend into the knees. Spring loading the legs, looking way ahead of your mat. Hop to your hands. Spread out your toes, maintain your feet space and your alignment of your legs. Inhale, flatten your back forwards and exhale to fold down, trying to reach your lips to your knees. Soften the knees, push through the legs, stand back up. And exhale your hands down to your heart. This is a chance for you to take a little sip of water. Ooh. Time flies when we're having fun. About 5 to 10 more minutes. We'll do 1 more full set of sun salutation 2, sun salutation B. That's with a warrior 1 in a chair pose. And then we'll cool it all down. In through your nose. And out through your nose. Bend your knees, sit back into your chair. Inhale. Maybe you can reach the floor. As you inhale, your hands come back up to chair pose. And as you exhale, you fold over your legs. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale, step back, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Squeeze your shoulder blades together wherever you are. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot steps forwards, warrior 1. Inhale. Exhale, reach down, bend your elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Right foot steps forwards. Inhale, hands up, warrior 1. Exhale, fold down, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths. Pressing breaths. Lifting your belly button. Pressing back through your legs. Spread out your fingers, spread out your toes. One more breath in. Out. Lift the heels, bend the knees, look ahead, hop, step, or walk to your hands. Halfway lift, breathe in. Bum sits down, breathe out. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, hands to heart. Take a breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, take a sigh. Ah, we made it. But we're all still together. Reach your hands up one last time. Exhale, fold down, soften the knees, making everything a lot easier on yourself. Step your feet about hip width apart again. Use 2 fingers to pick up your big toe. And now we have an active, just like we used in that chair twist, an active flex from the arms, that energy to help ground and stabilize the shoulder blades as we pull and hug the chest into the thighs and begin to lift the tailbone up. Millimeter by millimeter here, respecting the vertebrae. Two more breaths. Pull up on your toes, push down on your fingers. Relax your neck. Finish this breath with a pull. And then release your toes. Soften the knees. Step your feet out wider than your mat. And gradually lower all the way to the ground. Hands can be behind you so that you don't bump your tailbone. I'm going to shoot back a little bit and sit up nice and tall. So you want to be tall on your sitting bones. So get your tush out of the way for those bones if you need to. The right leg is going to stay extended and the left leg is going to come in. So we can focus again on the upper body, sitting up nice and tall. I've used this stretch before. Right arm into the right thigh to press out and open. Left hand behind the ear for that 45-degree twist. Two more breaths. Pull yourself back up and then untwist your spine. Use your left hand outside your right arm, right leg, your right hand behind your back. Counter twist if it feels good. Lift the left leg out. Bring the right leg in and twist the other way. Then very rarely is it more than 5 breaths in a stretch. Think about lifting, again, supporting and recognizing the vertebrae and the space between them. Tall back. One more breath. Sit up again, unwind and counter twist if that feels okay. Extend the legs out, sway the feet 2 or 3 times in each direction, bend the knees, sway the knees 2 or 3 times in each direction. And extend the legs again, sit up nice and tall, adjust your seat if needed. And we're going to take another variation on our hip stretch, our pigeon stretch, where we're going to cradle the leg, so bend the knee so that your left ankle is over your right knee and use your arms, called the forklift. Get underneath the leg and pick it up. And it doesn't need to come up very high. Protecting your glutes and your hips basically right away. And you can again go in and out of the stretch
By lifting your leg a little closer to your chest, cradling that knee, we can rotate the hip socket. Notice if it's slouching your back, let the leg down so you can sit up nice and tall. And take one last effort on this leg, and then lay the ankle back across the right knee. Manually extend the left leg, and we'll look at it on the right leg. Scoop up your knee. Notice if you're rounding your back. Ease off, sit up nice and tall, and it helps to protect your knee by flexing your toes. And keeping your shoulders back in their sockets. That's an action you can do to prevent that slouching spine. Sway side to side in the hip socket. Just like we rotated the legs and the knees, about 2 to 3 times should be ample, should be plenty of time. Take one last breath, and then let the leg down. And we're going to manually release. Bring the soles of the feet together. Press the feet together, just like we did with the hands, but now the hands are going to press into the floor behind you to help maintain your spine as you push your feet together and your knees apart. If a little bit of a fold is in your practice, that's great. But if not, if you're worried about slouching and saving your back, keep up nice and tall through the spine with a bend in the elbows to squeeze the shoulders together. Yeah, making space in your low back. We're stretching out through the hips and inner thighs. Good. Inch yourself back. Lift your knees up like a book. Come to your favorite seated position and bring your hands back to your heart. Thank you so much for tuning in to practice and stretch and strengthen with me today. I hope I get to see your faces all again very soon. David Carr, coming from CFP Halifax. We'll see you next time.